Hey, it's Mike from 424recording.com, and in today's video, we're taking a look at Just a Trick, an EP I just released with my band Be Cool Cowboy. Hey mom, keep it down, try to rock it in the basement of the crowd. Alright, so in today's video, I wanted to just do a quick album recap of Just a Trick, because this was a big experiment on the channel. If you've been following the series or the videos I've been doing with the different tracks, and for a while I was releasing one song per week from this EP. They were all written within 30 minutes to an hour and written and recorded. As I explained on the Bandcamp page, there's a more thorough explanation, but essentially I just wanted to write and record songs very quickly and get them down and get that initial spark, that initial inspiration, the lightning in a bottle essence of them, and record them as quick as possible, because I find that there's this magical spot when I'm working on stuff and recording where I'm like super inspired about it. I'm in that flow state and I'm not thinking about it too much, and then once the thoughts start to pile in, it changes what the song becomes, and it also just changes your mood. Like, you could be in a certain mood one day and record a certain type of track, and the next day going back to that, you'll lose that flow and you won't have the same idea or the same inspiration or the same way you felt when you were doing it. That's basically the why I did it, to have two different versions. I also wanted a comparison for people on the channel, anybody watching this, because it often comes up, oh, what's the difference between cassette and digital? What's the difference in the sound, essentially? So, I wanted like this to be a teaching tool, and I wanted it to be obviously a fun project and also something that you could compare at home, when you're listening. And I have, on the Bandcamp, becoolcowboy.bandcamp.com, you can download this EP, and it has the two different versions of the songs, so that you can use for comparison in your own, day to day when you're looking to record stuff. I thought that this project came out really great. It was a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to be writing and recording songs in this manner, like going forth for the foreseeable future, because I used to spend a lot of time on tracks and trying to perfect tracks, and it goes back to the rant I did a long time ago, 80% is good enough, I think I used to waste a lot of time writing things and playing the same riff over and over again, and just, I don't know, just being indecisive about, decisions with the song and the songwriting process. So this whole process has really helped me kind of break through that bad habit, I guess you would say. Not to say that I don't think it's worth spending a lot of time on songs, but at the same time, like, for me, as like somebody who's trying to get better at songwriting, I want to like pump out and write as many songs as I can, because if you only write one song within a year, or if you wrote 100 songs in a year, like, chances are that you're gonna have a bunch of songs in that batch of 100 that would have been better than that one song you spent a year writing, right? And also just the speed of life and internet, and whether it's good or bad, the fact of the matter is, if you're not constantly getting yourself out there, if you're not constantly creating something, I mean, look at YouTube, right? It's one video per week kind of a deal, or I used to do more. Some people do a lot more. Some people do one per day. I've seen some people do 2, 3 per day. Some of these channels that, I guess it's different types of content, but I guess what I'm saying is, the speed of today's world, I think that the more stuff that you can generate and the more stuff that people can check out, the better, you got to constantly be out there, constantly be putting yourself out there, and constantly showing up. That's something I learned from this project. That's something I learned from this channel. You got to just show up. If you want to be a dancer, you got to go to, practice dancing as much as you can, and you got to go to competitions or whatever. If you want to be a, pop singer, you got to sing a lot, and you got to write a lot of songs, and play other people's songs and sing a lot and practice. If you want to be an artist, you got to paint. Nobody comes out fully formed. There's no fully formed artists, individuals out there. So the importance of showing up. I heard there's a quote that says 90% of success is just showing up. So, and that was kind of my idea with this EP too. After I was working on it and wanting to get it done, I kind of just said, well, I wasn't like 100% happy with it, to be honest. I thought it was at least 80% good, was done, and I was just like, you know what, I'll work on that the next time. But we'll get into that. So the main differences in the songs, there's the cassette versions and the digital versions. It's funny because I think if I was to make a final release of this, I would probably mix the two versions of the songs. Meaning, there's some songs I think were suited really well for the 4-track, and then others that shined or had parts added through the digital process that sounded really cool. So I guess we'll just go through them track by track and talk about how I approach them and recording them. So. Speak Your Truth, the first track. This was like the first one. Initially, I was thinking I didn't want to have songs with repeating parts, but as I started doing the process of writing after Speak Your Truth, that's just naturally how I write songs. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna like try to impede the flow of whatever's coming out of me, coming through me. It's like I want to challenge myself and change and write better songs. But if the ones that start coming out are just very simple verse, chorus, bridge stuff, then I should just stick with that. But so this song, I really like the cassette version. I think if I was to do one release that had only 5 tracks on it, a version of one version of each of the songs, like I think I would have started off the EP with the cassette version of Speak Your Truth. I just feel like I really nailed it. Yeah, I think I really nailed it. Like the digital version is great. It sounds cool. The drums are cool on it, but I just really like the vocal performance on the cassette version, which tends to happen on the first versions of things. I don't know. I'm sure you've run into that as well. Sometimes it's very hard to replicate vocal performances, or you could just be in the right mood to knock something out. And that was something with the cassette versions that was very freeing, and I'll get into that. But it was just a lot easier to do the cassette versions. I wasn't thinking about it too hard, and I just kind of wrote the songs and performed them really quickly, and it was cool. So yeah, Speak Your Truth. The digital version's cool. I mean, I guess sonically it sounds great. But I also just really liked how loud and abusive the solo was, and I don't know, the mix is cool. So for me, I personally enjoy the cassette version of that one a lot. I like the digital version of this track a lot, mainly because of the parts that I added. They're kind of like the spice, I guess, to the song. Um, the guitars that I heard, the electric that's over the chorus on this song, it kind of reminds me of like something off of From a Basement on Top of a Hill by Elliott Smith. I don't know if I was like consciously going for that, but after I recorded, I'm like, man, that sounds like, I really like that. I really like that sound. I really like that album. So yeah, I really like that addition of those electrics. The thing is with the cassette versions, and whenever I do stuff on the 4-track, I always try to limit it to 4 tracks. So, in order to get the essence of the song and not overdo it. And, if you can write a song that sounds good with 4 tracks, like no matter how many tracks you add to it, it'll sound great. But if you have a 50-song track in the DAW that, or a 50 track song where it's like, and like you need like so many of those tracks to make this song sound good. I think, I don't know, personally I just don't think that's that great of a song in terms of like songwriting, and I don't know, that's just me though. But I think less is always more, basically. I think rarely the addition of parts, I mean, it can help clarify like a song, but I think it rarely um, it rarely makes a song. It rarely makes a song. Does that make sense? Yeah. Anyway, so I really like the digital version of this track. I really like the drums I played on it, and that's something that's worth mentioning too. So some people that were confused about the drums that I did on the digital versions. That's actually real drums. I played those over at Hapro's studio and recorded them in like an afternoon. Um, and again, like like the performances of those. They're not perfect, right? But they were good enough. There's a couple things in there that I hear that I'm like, and I'm a little stiff of a drummer, but that's kind of the vibe I like to go for. I like, a very simple backbeat. I was saying this in the live stream, and I'm like to like Phil Selway from Radiohead, Jim Eno from Spoon, Ringo, obviously, Elliott Smith drumming, too, just like really simple, backbeat kind of stuff. nothing fancy. You know, I think it's all about taste, and like these songs are just very simple too. So, but yeah, so I like the drums a lot on this one. I just kept them super simple. But yeah, I just think that overall, like the song really filled out with the digital version, and I really like the digital version. The 4-track version is great too, but like I like that's pretty cool that from going from the demo, or not the demo, but the 4-track version to the digital version. Like I think that there's a markedly difference, if that makes sense. Fantasy is another great example of a track that had like good bones, I guess you would say, similar to Big Deal Man, and then the addition of parts and the addition of like textures, I think really took it over the top. So what I really like again was sort of I did these in order too, the digital ones, and the order they are on the EP is the order that I wrote the songs. So Fantasy was the third one from the batch, and I think I wrote like Fantasy, Horizon, and Big Deal Man all on the same day. And then I kind of recorded a lot of these within like 2 or 3 days, like all of them, written and recorded all of them. And then I like released them like weekly, essentially. But anyway, so yeah, so Fantasy I think really does shine digitally as well, because of the addition of the textures. Like I was saying, like it's cool. Like but what's interesting is that the concept that was there. Like I had this idea of it like opening up on the chorus, I guess you would say, and I think that comes across on the 4-track version. But with the limit of tracks and limiting myself to 4 tracks on here, it was possible. And originally I just wanted to do acoustic, like this was going to be an acoustic album, and then as I started plugging in the Tascamp and the Pog, and it just wound up becoming like a much more produced album. And there's also the Moog on there in some spots, especially on Big Deal Man. I added just like very little stuff that I heard, and I don't know. I just wanted to like. Really been trying to mix up the parts, right? Because when you have verse, chorus type stuff, if you just leave it A B, and with no variation, it can get a little bit boring, especially I think on a recording. So, when you get to the second verse, maybe you add a shaker, maybe you add a little synth line, like in Big Deal Man. There's in the second verse, I added like the Minotaur. So I've really been trying to think about variation now when it's coming to my parts, because I think it's important to keep the listener engaged and keep the song changing and not just stagnant, because then you could literally just copy and paste, verse, chorus, like I don't know, I don't know. I think it's all about variation and the variations within those verses and choruses. So anyway, but so Fantasy, right? The 3 choruses are each different too vocally. Like the first one is just the low vocals. The second one I backed up the higher vocals on some of the phrases, and the final chorus is I backed up the whole thing on with like a high vocal as well, an octave vocal. Yeah, so I just really thought that those open chords on the distortion sounded sick. Like I just wanted it to really like, I don't know, rock it out at those parts. And what's interesting too about this song, so like the verse, and then there's like I guess a pre-chorus and then the chorus. The verse and the chorus are the same chords, but the way that I played them they're like bar chords in the verse, but then in the chorus they're kind of like open. I don't know how you explain them. They're like open chords. I guess they're just, with the capo on, and then if you like hit the root notes and then hit the rest of the strings open, it just makes that really cool dissonance, I guess you would say. I don't know. I just really always like that sound. I think like Foo Fighters use that a lot, or like Dave Grohl does that on some of the tracks on the first Foo Fighters record. I think Nirvana does that, which makes sense. I think In Utero, because I think one of the songs is some of Dave Grohl's guitar playing or something. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure there's like a song where it was like Dave Grohl brought some chords or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's a really cool way to use chords, but I think it's also just cool because they're the same chords, but it sounds so different. And obviously because there's a different melody, which is also a cool songwriting tip. You can have it like Big Deal Man. It's the same chords the whole time, but it's a different melody, right? So if you have chords, if you have a riff that you like, figure out a way to vary it and then just come up with different melodies over it, which is always like a really simple A to B. So that's cool. So yeah, I like the digital version of Fantasy. I think the addition of the parts sounds really cool. And like I said, again, it's just because of the bones of the song were there. I think it came out really cool. Horizon. That's an interesting track. I feel like I always wind up getting to a point when I'm writing a batch of songs where there's a song like Horizon. I don't know how to explain what I mean exactly, but it's almost like a western. I almost get like a western kind of vibe from it. Maybe because of the lyrics, but I'm not really sure. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I always seem to. There's always a track like that where it's a good track, you know, but it's like I feel like the big ones on this record for me or the EP or whatever are Big Deal Man, Fantasy, and Just a Trick. And Horizon I think is a great song, but it's different, you know, and it's almost a different style. But I tend to I don't know. It's funny. I'm not really sure how to explain it. Now I'm like really thinking about this. Um, it seems like anytime I write like a song like Fantasy, right? Because these are written in order, so it's like I guess what I'm trying to say is like I think it's a good song. I don't think it's the best song on the record, but you may disagree. You know, that's why I probably shouldn't even say that. But because you know you leave something off of something, and then like half the time, like on all the other releases I've ever done, the songs that I was gonna leave off of them were so many people have reached out and said that's my favorite one. Like why you know. And I never say that, which I don't know. Maybe this will be buried deep enough in here. This is already 20 minutes in. Jesus. I gotta fucking get moving on this. This is gonna be a long video, so if you're watching this whole thing, thank you so much. Comment dinosaur if you've gotten this far, so I'll know that you watched this far. So dinosaur, just write dinosaur as a comment, you know, and we'll keep track of who's really watching this shit. Anyway, um, yeah. So I forgot what I was saying. Horizon, I do like the digital version a lot too. And I always feel like this song reminded me the vibe of it of Big Me again. I'm not like a huge Foo Fighters guy. I do like that first album a lot, but I don't know. It just had that kind of a vibe to me. I don't know. I don't know what you think, but um, I'm not sure. I guess I'm not really sure why, but. As I'm not even sure what kind of song that is, right? They always say it's like a crossover song, but I don't even know what that means. So, anyway, it's a cool song. But I guess what I'm saying is like anytime I feel like I write like a big song or like a song that's like a song that's really cool, there's always like the Horizon kind of track that comes next. It's like almost like the falling action, right? Like if Fantasy is like the climax of the story, then Horizon is like the back end where all the pieces are, you know, fitting together, I guess. Um, but yeah, so Horizon, I would definitely choose the digital over the cassette. I think if I was to put these on a record. And yeah, I really like. Oh, what I wanted to mention about the guitar solos and stuff, or the guitar licks. Like I'm really trying to figure out my guitar sound, right? I think Mac DeMarco, you know, has kind of carved out this place in his music where when you listen to his songs, like you know, he has a very distinct sound with the chorus, chorus pedal, and the chorus of his guitars and his guitar style. So I think that's something I want to figure out identity wise for myself. Is like for me, what I'm using is the Pog. I really like the sound of like an octave guitar that's distorted, and I want that to be my fingerprint for now, unless I come up with something that's different than that. Um, but I think that's really important, right? Is figuring out because I feel like anytime now I hear, well, because there's a lot of bands that rip off Mac DeMarco or try to rip him off or whatever, um, But anyway, so like whenever I hear those chorus guitars and like the certain vibe, it's like, yeah, okay, we see what you're doing, But I think that's like the power of having like a fingerprint that's so unique like that. I mean, obviously there's other bands that use chorus like the Smiths, Johnny Marr, whatever. You know, it's very chorus sound. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like I feel like right now that chorus sound and the like specific type of guitar playing and soloing and you know guitar licks that Mac DeMarco does, I feel like there's a space that's carved out for that. And I'm not saying like there's not room for other people to use chorus, but for myself, like I really want to discover something that's uniquely a sound of what I'm trying to do, and I think that sounds cool. Yeah, I always like that octave sound, kind of like a Beatles thing where they will play. I'm not forget what there's like a terminology for it, but it's like you play, you know, the lick one octave, then you play it an octave higher, or you can even like harmonize with it. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a song that's prevalent on. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but yeah, there's a name for that. Maybe if you know the name, you could comment below. Just a Trick, probably my favorite song on the EP. I think. Well, I don't know. Fantasy, Big Deal Man, like they're all they're I like them all for different reasons. But yeah, so Just a Trick. So this is the last one that was written, and I gotta say with this one, I like the cassette version better. I think the digital version's sick. I think I went a little too crazy with the electric guitar, but again, it was also the same process. I kind of just went through the song and wrote all those licks really quickly, and they just came very naturally. So I was like, ah, fuck it, I'll just put them all in there. Um, but yeah, I think it's a cool song, and I think that's another great example of like a song with good bones that when you add additional parts to it, sounds cool. It'll always sound good because the original foundation of the song is good, you know. But so and it takes on a different character with those electric. But I really like the tambourine that I did on the cassette version, and just the sparseness of the cassette version and the distortion on the vocals. I think is really cool. Um, yeah, I think so. Yeah, so to recap really quickly, I would use the Speaker Truth and Just a Trick cassette versions, and then the other three songs I would use the digital versions if I was to make this one 5 song mini album, whatever. So yeah, fuck, 23 minutes in. This is crazy. All right, I think I'm just gonna upload this as one long video. I'm not even gonna edit this, so if you watch the whole thing, don't forget to comment dinosaur. Anyway, so yeah, so Just a Trick. It's a cool song. It started out with like different lyrics, and then I kind of changed them because I thought they were kind of like, they were just too harsh. I don't know, like it didn't make sense. Like it's kind of moving through some stuff, and I realized that I moved through it, so it was kind of unnecessary. But anyway, um, yeah, it's a cool song. I really like how it came out. I really like the parts. I really like the break in it, like the stops, which is something new for me. I don't really do that often. So, well, I guess once in a while, but anyway. Inspiration and lightning in a bottle is something that I want to be able to capture with my setup from now on. So that's why often I'm going to leave my 4-track out. My DAW's all usually ready to go. I have templates now that I'm going to, use when I boot up a new song. And I guess what I learned is like writing things really fast is an amazing way to create something awesome. I'm not like again. You got to figure out what works for you, but what works for me is because I think about shit way too much because I have so many thoughts and bullshit in my head. Like the quicker I can do something, and the more I'm in the moment before I get lost in the ether or the fucking like noise of my brain, like that's what works well for me. So if you feel like you don't get things done too, this is also a great way. And because I also went into this with the intention of like I wasn't even going to put this out. I was like, I'll just do this as an experiment and see what happens. And then I kind of told some people about it, and I think I was telling people on the channel about it, or maybe I don't remember exactly the process by which this came about. And I almost wasn't even going to put the thing out. I'm really glad I did put out both versions and everything. Just because it was such a rushed, like because like Wonders of Color, right? Like that was something I kind of labored over for a while. And I used like some songs that I had Sean and I kind of like Sean wrote and like kind of went back and forth with him a little bit. And because Wonders of Color, I really like that's the sound I always heard in my head that I wanted to capture, and one of my recordings to sound like, and it just took such a long time. So this was like the complete opposite um, process. And then there's been a couple of people, like Tim was telling me the other day, I had him over, we were talking about the art that's going to be coming out on Tuesday, and he was saying like, dude, like, I think this is my favorite thing I've ever done. And I was like, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. No, that's awesome because like, here I was thinking like, oh, I have to labor over stuff for so long, and now I'm realizing like, the craziest part about this is that when I went to do the digital versions of these songs, I had forgotten how to play the 4-track versions because there was such a whirlwind of writing and like writing them so quickly. Like I had to literally like relearn the songs, even though they were only drop my pen, even though they were only written and recorded like a week or a couple of weeks prior. Like I hadn't even know how to play them. It was like I didn't even write them. So it was like an interesting dichotomy, I guess, or it was just an interesting process. Like, because I usually have been playing, like some of the songs Jay and I have been playing, I've been playing with a bunch of other people over the years. Like, I just know them so well, I could just like, I don't think I'm ever going to forget them at this point. So it was really strange. But, so I guess the big thing I learned was this is a great way to increase my output, and I want to do a lot more stuff and do a lot more stuff more often. And that's something YouTube has taught me too, like showing up and like, right. So okay, I'm getting a little off topic, and this video is going to be insanely long, but fuck it. So the thing is, showing up is crucial, right? So whether this thing I thought was great, perfect, bad, like, just a trick EP, mini album, whatever, like, the point that I got to is like, I'm just gonna put this out because in another couple months I'm gonna put something else out, and ergo, like the same fucking thing, just onward, because I think I used to get caught up. I think a lot of you guys get caught up. I get a lot of emails from people saying like, how can I start doing more stuff? And just start doing more stuff, just finalize this shit. I was laboring over this, and like some of the drum sounds I was like really trying to, I really wanted to show off my drum recording skills because I did that drum course at recorddrums.com. If you're looking for help recording drums, check that out. It's a premium course that I made a couple months ago, and I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself. I was like, I need to like use this as a reference point for that, and I want to like, but like, I did this pretty quickly, and I was like, fuck, is this good enough? Is this gonna show off my skills? Like whatever, as like an engineer, and then I'm like, I realized like I don't give a fuck now. It's like just get it done. Like there's some things I would have changed, and I'll do that on the next one, and that's something that as long as you learn something from everything that you do and bring it with you to the next one, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be fine. So I'm not gonna be adding this to streaming services now. I kind of got into this on the live stream, mainly because I don't know. It's not worth it. I think what I'm gonna do is wait until I have like 40 songs, or because I'm gonna be putting out a lot of stuff in the next like I hope to be putting out a lot of stuff in the next like few months. So I'm gonna wait till I have like 40 track thing and just put it all up. I'm starting to think streaming services are a little bit at this level of musician I am, or if I just stay at this level, like, it's just a bad investment. But there's always exceptions, and your mileage may be different, and I don't want to deter anybody or be negative about it. But I guess I could put it up, but I just don't have the bread, the cheddar, and I have a lot of other great songs up there. So people find the stuff through that, cool. But I just don't want to keep throwing money at the streaming machine if there's that investment's not coming back. So yeah, that's something else we'll talk about some other time. Overall, an awesome project, super interesting. I learned a lot. I hope this video is great. If you've stuck around for this long, thank you so much for watching. I had a lot to say about this, and I put off doing this video for a while just because I was like, again, right? So rather than just executing and getting this done, I kept saying to myself like, oh, I need to like schedule it out and like figure out what I'm gonna say and have all this stuff, and I just kind of realized like just got to get it done, you know. And I think that's kind of the perfect. Now that I just like thinking about it, it's kind of the perfect example, or like the perfect symbol of this whole project. Just a trick is that just get it done, you know. Like just start doing it. You know, starting is the hardest part, and just figuring out a system that works well for you. It's taken me a long time, you know. It's taken me years to like determine that. Well, shit, I need to just like be ready to go at any point in time, and if I do something really quickly in a day or two, or you know, an hour even, like of some of these, like just be okay with that being the version of it and move on. You know, it's like because my goal right now and yours may be different, but I just want to get out as much stuff as I can and get as much stuff on the channel, on the Bandcamp. Eventually, I guess put stuff up on streaming once it's like cost effective. And yeah, I don't know, just create something awesome. You know, that's what I want to do. And now that I have the platform to share it with people and hopefully teach people and also learn stuff from people, like-minded individuals and artists, like what more could I ask for, you know? And like I was talking to somebody. Oh, I think Jeremy had emailed me, and we were talking about, you know, well, what if you feel like your stuff's not good enough? It's like this quote. I can't think of the guy's name at the moment. He's on I think This American Life podcast, but he said, you know, there's this point where your taste just doesn't match up to your ability to create. So it's just a matter of like years and years or days and days of creating to get your, because you still have this high level of taste, but you know the stuff that you're creating just doesn't match your level of taste. So like, but the only way out, or the only way to get better, is to go through. And because there's a point in time when you're doing anything and creating anything where there's a lot of exit ramps. You know, there's a lot of times, there's a lot of people that will just give up. You know, when you do anything, we were talking about this too. Like, if you want to become an astronaut, like for me, the exit ramp is saying like, oh man, maybe being an astronaut is cool, but I would just never do that. So like that's the exit ramp. But, you know, for other people, they go almost to the end, and then they say like, oh yeah, you just didn't make it. You know, and that's the exit ramp there. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like with music, if you're trying to get better, or if you're trying to, you know, make better art, like there's a lot of places that get discouraged, you know, especially with today's world of having to be a songwriter, engineer, you know, your own PR person, whatever. Just stick with it, right? Just keep going. The only way you're gonna get better or get your level of taste, you're gonna match your level of taste to your level of what you're creating, is to just keep going. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of almost the point I'm getting to. I think I still have a ways to go. But I can see it. I can see it. You know, I can see that, like, looking back on shit I used to do and bands I was in, like, stuff was all right. You know, it had potential, I guess. But now it's becoming clear to me that, because I used to labor over that shit and spend way too much long time doing it, and now I've kind of realized like none of that, not that stuff didn't matter, but it all mattered to get me to here, right? But at the point in time where I was like thinking like, oh, this is going to be something that's going to garner attention, or that's going to like make me somebody known or whatever. I don't know even what it is anymore I want or wanted back then, but it's like it's just funny because all that stuff was just another step in the staircase. So what I'm trying to do right now, and I'll leave you with this, is, and I think everybody needs to do, or if you're trying to get better, or if you're struggling with putting stuff out, is it's a staircase, not an elevator. It's not a fucking rocket ship. And just keep building stairs. Just keep building steps. And the quicker you can build those steps, and as long as they're sound, you know, as long as they're there, whether they're, you know, as long as you build them, just keep building them. Because I think a lot of people just build that first step and then realize, like, think that that's it. But and that's why I'm going to be ramping up my output. You know, I'm at a point where like I have a pretty good idea of how to build steps, and I'm going to just build as many as I can now. So Godspeed, my friends. Thank you so much if you've watched this far. Comment dinosaur. I mean, but this is probably, people are going to skip to the end. But anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, comment dinosaur. If you've watched whatever, and thank you so much. I hope this wasn't a rambling thing. I realized this was kind of like a selfish. I don't mean to be like a self. Well, I guess I do mean to be a self promoter. It's my fucking channel. I can do whatever I want. But I realize this is very like self oriented. But I think it's also important because as like a teaching tool and something I want to look back on. You know, in 5 years if I'm still kicking it. You know, and still making music. Like I want to see where I came from. You know, so. I hope this is of value to you. It's of immense value to me. All the comments people leave on the whole process of writing this album. The video Joe made for Just a Trick is amazing. The feedback everybody's been giving on the mixes and the different versions, like this has been like probably the most successful launch I've ever done. You know, in terms of like people checking it out and being interested. So I think this will serve as a good bookend. Next week, I'm going to put out a video on Tuesday. It's just going to be an addendum of Tim and I talking about the art, because Tim made a lot of cool art for this project, and that also came out as a podcast last week. But anyway, Godspeed, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming on this journey of Just a Trick and everything this has become. And yeah, onward, right? And show up. Just show up and keep showing up and keep building those steps, okay? And I hope that analogy makes sense, but I think it does. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out all the videos. I'm gonna make a playlist of all the Just a Trick stuff so you can check out the whole thing. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. I think it's gonna be almost 40 minutes, so that's fucking stupid, but I had a lot of fun doing it. I'm not really gonna edit it, I don't think so. Well, we'll see if this is in there, but I'm just fucking rambling now. Make sure you do something you want to do today, alright?